this episode of Geography Girl, and today I'm going to be telling you the story of Marfa, Texas, which is a place that defies an easy explanation. On the map, Marfa, Texas just looks like any other small town in the vast emptiness of West Texas. It is remote and isolated, with its nearest city being El Paso, which is an almost 3-hour drive away, across wide plains, dry scrub, and desert highways. It is set in a surrounding region known as Big Bend, which is absolutely stunning, and is an area that is shaped by the curve of the Rio Grande. It is dominated by the stark beauty of the Chihuahuan Desert. Despite its size and its place in quite an obscure part of America, Marfa has become a place where art, history, and geography collide. I like this town because it's a town of paradoxes. It's got a real political history, with being on the frontier and as a border town and also as a military town, but also has become one of the world's, like, a global destination for art. The thing that I really like about Marfa is its geography. There is something so mysterious to me about places that are super remote, yet this place gets 50,000 tourists every single year. And part of that is due to it being near the high plain desert. It's a mile above sea level and surrounded by mountains. Climate is extreme, there's really hot days and really cold nights. And for some, this really vast emptiness feels really constrictive, but to others, it feels incredibly liberating. Around 48 kilometers from Marfa is the McDonald Observatory, which is home to some of the world's farthest reaching telescopes. These are perched on the Davis Mountains and brings together stargazers and astronomers to stargazing parties, which allows people to see as far as some of the most distant galaxies. Also, another really interesting phenomena that brings tourists to the areas, and that's the Marfa lights. And this is where orbs appear on the horizon of the desert, and they appear to bob and flicker and split apart, and the reason for this is still to this day unknown. Some nights they hover low to the ground, and other nights they shoot up into the sky. And so locals and tourists gather along the Marfa Lights viewing area along Route 90 to view them. There are a couple of different explanations for these. Some believe that they're car reflection, but this is a phenomenon that predates electricity. There is stories from Native Americans that lived in the area, and to this day, these aren't fully explained. Marfa has a really interesting history as a frontier town and a military output. Before it was famous for its art and its mystery, Marfa was just another stop along a railroad. It was founded in the 1880s, and it served ranchers and travelers who were coming across the wide plains of West Texas. The town's name, according to local lore, was inspired by a character in a Russian novel, which was read by the executive of the railroad's wife. Marfa grew steadily in the 18th and 19th century, growing to 900 residents in 1900 and 3,000 in 1920. And with it came churches and schools and civic buildings that still populate the historical town centre. Its strategic location near the Mexican border has brought the military into Marfa's story. During the Mexican Revolution in 1911, there were US troops in the town. In World War I and World War II, it became the site of a chemical warfare unit and the prisoner of war camp in the nearby Marfa airfield. The town also really played an important role in border enforcement. During Prohibition, the Border Patrol based in Marfa was responsible for overseeing over 365 miles of frontier, deterring smugglers who were carrying alcohol from Mexico into the United States. Which means that in the early 19th century, Marfa was way less of a cultural oasis and just felt like more of a hard-edged outpost. Everything changed in the 1970s when the artist Donald Judd arrived. Judd was already a major leader in New York's post-war art scene and was known as a leader in minimalism. In 1964, he published an essay called Specific Objects, which challenged the traditional art forms of painting and sculpture. Instead, he argued that art should be embraced in three-dimensional spaces and industrial space, using industrial materials and shapes that exist on their own terms. Judd was drawn to Marfa for the same reason that many others were, due to the vast openness of the desert. To him, the space itself was material. It's something to be worked with and not just filled. In 1979, he purchased the 400-acre former army base along with its 32 abandoned buildings. The space would become the Chinati Foundation, a sprawling art complex dedicated to permanent installations. Judd's main collection that he built between 1882 and 1886 contains 100 so-called specific objects. He repurposed two former artillery sheds, placing derelict garage doors with long windows so that you could see out into the vastness of the desert, again using it as a material rather than a space to be worked in. Within them, he installed 100 specific objects, which had a reflective surface that was framed by glass that looked out into the desert. Outside, along the border of the property, he constructed 15 monumental works of concrete. These were massive geometric forms in precise rows. Being placed on the border, I think these structures have a really interesting symbolism. Just like Marfa, they are on the border in potentially obscurity, looking out to the vastness of the desert. There is a harshness using concrete as a structure, which is simultaneously solid but could be easily overlooked and just to fade into the background. There's also a vast emptiness in the middle, which you could perceive as space and freedom, or also as constrictive as it looks out onto the emptiness and the expanse of the desert. Judd's vision was of art that could not easily be removed, sold or detached from its environment. He also repurposed 11 buildings within Marfa's historical Old Town. And this was really significant. They are today protected under the Historical Places Register. Judd's work attracted a lot of artists to the area. Judd's influence turned Marfa into a bit of a pilgrimage for art and artists. And another installation cemented its place in popular culture, which is Prada Marfa. This was built in 2005 by two Scandinavian artists. The Marfa looks like a luxury boutique in the desert. It is stocked with handbags and shoes, but was never really meant to function as a store. Instead, it was designed to decay and to fade into obscurity. But Marfa had other plans, and instead it became an international sensation. It was vandalized, threatened with removal. Ultimately, it was preserved as a permanent installation. It even featured on The Simpsons and has been visited by the likes of Beyonce. The criticism comes from the creators itself. They said it became a symbol beyond our expectations, both good or bad. This alone attracts thousands of people just to take pictures in front of it. For some, that really says a lot about consumer culture, but for others, it just makes for a nice background for selfie. Marfa has also been this site for a lot of films in Hollywood. The town and its surroundings have been featured in films like No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood, both of which has used the desert to look at themes of violence and ambition and human struggle. So what is life like in Marfa today? It is a town less than 2,000 residents, but it does welcome tens of thousands of tourists every single year. Nearly 50,000 in 2019 alone, which is crazy. And what are they coming for? They're coming to see the lights, they're coming to see the art of Donald Judd, and also to see Prada Marfa. So that's it for today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting. I'd like to give us a like and subscribe for more as I bring out new episodes every Tuesday. If there's anything you'd like me to cover, just shoot me a little message or put it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, bye.